Welcome to the Grace Point Publishing Authors Podcast. Join us as we discuss the challenges, triumphs, inspirations, and unique aspects of our author's journey. As you listen, you will learn about how we publish our books, the ways we pivot and adjust to our ever-changing industry, and how you can begin your own book publishing journey. And now, here's your host, co-founder and publisher of Grace Point Publishing, Michelle Vandepass.
Grandmothers and grandfathers, all of our ancestors of the highest and best good, who know what needs to be ignited, spoken, awakened, aligned, heard. It's in the highest and best good for all who will be listening or who are thinking of listening, and that need the wisdom that comes through both Michelle and me. May it move through us. May we dive deep into the messages that need to be moved through and awakened and aligned for others. May we speak from our hearts and be grounded in our bodies. May the wisdom be woken up in our bones. And may deep transformation and change occur through this connection. Ashe and blessed be.
That's so beautiful. I see a little book of prayers for you next. Hello and welcome. I am Michelle Vandepass, your host for the Grace Point Publishing podcast. And today I'm thrilled because I have Walking with Sobonfu, the author, Susan Hough, who wrote this book, and I can't wait to share it with you. It's a guide to claiming your authenticity and deepening your sense of community. You're going to find out a lot about Susan in the next few minutes. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
When you read this book, right at the beginning, it talks about your commitment to ritual. And that's not something that, at least in the United States of America, we're very connected to. Talk to me why ritual is so important, especially right now when it feels like the whole world's in chaos.
Such an interesting question because I think I live my life in ritual. And I think we probably all do, and we're not conscious of being in ritual as we should be. My teacher and mentor, Sobonfu Somé, her name meant the keeper of the rituals. But as I've walked this walk with her and now without her being passed on the other side, I realize every moment when I breathe in is a ritual. And as I breathe out, I let go. It's a ritual. So how often can I breathe in and out and really align with me so that I can be more in alignment with what I'm here to be of service doing, how I'm to listen more clearly, how to speak from a place of non-judgment, how to awaken to the deeper parts of myself so that I can support others in awakening to the deeper part of themselves.
You're talking about something that comes up a lot right now, but other people frame it around mindfulness or slowing down. And you're framing this around ritual. But I think you're saying the same thing, like having a ritual makes you be more mindful.
It's a more tangible thing. I like the tangible. So for me, my morning ritual is I hug myself and I think, I'm waking up from the dream world. How can I be more present in the physical world? And then I think about, what's my day going to look like? Knowing that it could shift, obviously, at any moment, but being more conscious. And for me, the physical of just wrapping my arms around myself, Sobonfu would say, you wake up and you wake yourself up and you greet yourself from the dream world.
It's beautiful. So beautiful. We're going to talk about some rituals in your book. Some of them are a little more complicated. And I never thought of it before, but I actually get up and have a cup of coffee and sort of sit in silence for a few minutes and just be in the moment. That's probably a ritual.
I mean, when I drink my coffee, I think, may this coffee move through me and release whatever gets in my way so that I can be more productive in my day.
So both of these rituals that you just talked about, and I'm going off script here because I have prepared questions, but this is more interesting to me. Both of these had intention behind them.
Yes. Intention to me is more important than anything. If you set the intention, you can keep coming back to it, right? What's my intention? What is my intention? My intention is to awaken. I have a seed ritual in there, which is one of my more complicated rituals, which actually is even more complicated if you were to work with me one-on-one alone. But maybe your intention is to grow a deeper connection to your heart. The next part of the seed ritual will be a deeper connection to the wisdom that resides and that can be spoken through your heart. Another layer could be, let me grow a deeper connection to spirit so I can be in more alignment to how I'm to serve. How do I want to deepen my connection within myself so I can deepen my connection outside of myself?
So you've already given me sort of a big aha here, which is in my morning coffee, I could start an intention that is as I drink in, I don't know if nourishing is the right word for coffee. I like your releasing better. The fact that I'm alive, how am I going to be with the world? That I'm using this for some time of peace, like to actually just bring in my intention to a ritual that I never really considered a spiritual ritual, that maybe I could turn into one.
Or it could also be, may I drink this and release whatever's getting in my way of being more in alignment with how I am to be today, my own inner being.
So you took a big risk because you didn't know Sobonfu and you read her book and said, I have to meet this woman. That's pretty courageous, right?
At the time, I didn't think it was courageous. At the time, I thought this is just what I got to do because I'm being shoved almost. Like, just do it. Stop being a wimp. Just go find this woman. It didn't feel courageous.
When you can slow down and maybe be in the ritual, have intention and listen, you are guided to your next step, right? So tell me just a little bit about how you found her. It was a long journey that you went down with her.
I did. One of my first mentors, he was passing. And before he passed, he said, hey, get this feeling you ought to read this book. It's written by Sobonfu Somé. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll read it. And when I read it, it actually felt like a vibration in my body, like a knowing. But specifically, it was when I read about a hearing ritual where women gather around a pregnant mom and the mother will go into a trance and speak through the mother what the gift is the child is bringing to the village. And the child will be named to remember the gift. The child will also speak what it needs to nourish the gift so that the village knows what it needs. And I read that and I thought, oh my golly, like, I love young people. And I thought, number one, boy, I sure do wish I'd had a freaking naming ritual. Maybe I wouldn't have screwed up so much. And the other part was like, wow, I believe everybody does have a gift. And how do you ignite their gift and help them to know that they have a gift that only they can bring in to the world in only their own unique way? And that we need each other to really support ourselves in nourishing that gift and collaborating with others to bring it forward. I read that and honestly, I gave that book to all my friends and I probably drove them absolutely freaking crazy, bugging them about, did you read the book yet? And, oh, here's this book. Oh, you have to read this book, best book I've ever read. And finally, about, I would say 3 months later, I was like, I got to quit freaking talking about this book and I have to find her. This was 21 years ago. I got on the internet, searched her, found a place she was teaching in South Carolina, called them. They gave me a phone number. I started calling the phone number. Every once in a while, some woman would say she's not here. And I'd be thinking, you don't have a freaking answering machine? What is wrong with this? You've got 2 great books that are out, and she hadn't had her 3rd book out yet. And I was like, why didn't you have an answering machine? And I didn't give up because I was driven. And one day she answers the phone and she says, yes. I say, yes, what? Yes, I will do what you want. And I said, I don't know what I want. And she said, call my assistant tomorrow. I've been calling her home phone. And so that's how it started. And she became my best friend for 17 years. And she trained me in ritual. And I got to walk with her. And I run her nonprofit now. And I do work with teenagers as close as I can to what I would think the village would do. And I put water wells in Africa and India because of her, and it changed my trajectory of my life. I'd already been a counselor. It made me realize there was so much more I could do in the world.
So I want to talk about your nonprofit because I know just a tiny bit about it. You actually work with teenagers, high school students, to build wells, right?
I do.
So that's an amazing project. How many wells do you think you?
Probably around 38 or 39. And we just had a wonderful woman give us 30,000. So I can get at least 2 more wells, if not 3 more wells. And it's a teenage run project. I mean, obviously I oversee it. It's on the East and the West Coast. And what I help these young people do is truly find their gift in the project like they would find their gift in the village. And what it is to collaborate and communicate and know that each person's part in this project couldn't be done without the other people doing their part in the project.
Because they do the whole thing, right? They research, they do the marketing, they fundraise,
they write, they do art. I mean, they speak, they sing. We have a radio show now called Walking for Water in our local Laguna Beach, Walking for Water Teen Activism. So they speak about not just water's life, but homelessness and what it is to be a teen who knows that they're next and how to step into their humanitarian heart and how can they make a difference in the way that they're called forth to make a difference.
Yeah, I love that because that feels like it's just an extension of the work, right? Finding your purpose, being in purpose, doing what you're here to do, being who you're here to be.
Being in community and not be a me, but be a we.
Which is getting kind of harder and harder, right?
It's a greed culture. If we can teach our children to be a we and see, I mean, they did something on homelessness last week and just moved me in such a deep way. Robert Strock, who's a great teacher, he asked them, how do you feel about it? And one of the kids said, what I realized it could be me. And that I just happened to be born someplace where I am able to have a home and a roof over my head.
So the nonprofit is called
Wisdom Spring, and the project that teenagers do is called Walking for Water.
Walking for Water, right. So you can Google it. I've Googled it, and it's a worthwhile project. The book is Walking with Sobonfu. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous cover with picture of a ritual. I just want to ask you, for someone that has thought about ritual, well, number one, they should buy the book, available everywhere. But number two, what's one simple ritual that they could start to help give more meaning to their lives? Let's say you don't want to start with the seed one.
I mean, I think the simple one is the water ritual, because water really does help us align with peace. Water is about going with the flow. Water is about clearing out, getting more clarity. So as you drink water all day, as you should, because water is life, you take your glass of water and as you sip it, you say, may this align me to peace. May I feel more peaceful within myself as this water moves through me. May I connect with my flow. May I dive deep into those places that need to be opened and released so that I may bring more clarity into my life. So it could be any of those broken down. May I drink in peace. May I drink in clarity.
So beautiful. This took a while to birth this book. I remember you had so many gorgeous photos, and we just had to really hand pick the ones that were going to work in the book. It's a gorgeous book. It's a full color book with gorgeous photos and rituals in there. How was the process of finally getting it published? Because it just feels like that was a whole birthing process in itself.
I mean, it was a process of where I started the book right after she died, and then it completely changed. Well, I'd actually started the book before she died. She's like, you got to write a book. And I'm like, I don't want to write a book. I could care less about writing a book. But she made me promise I'd write a book.
I think she'd be proud of this book.
I think she'd be really proud.
She probably is already proud of
I think I can feel her sometimes. I think she thinks like finally. And then it changed when she died, and then I couldn't do it. I was in my grief. I was working through what is my life like to run a nonprofit without her? What is my life like to do rituals without her? I had kind of had to really move through my own grief and really do my own water rituals to really clear the way so I could write again, so I could wake up to my wisdom. And as I wrote it, actually, the last chapter, the story part, because there's a workbook, I didn't even know I was going to write what I wrote.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I didn't get the full circle until I wrote the book. And so it was really like, oh my golly, wow. Thank you for giving me another layer of teaching, Thank you for always helping me remember there's always something we can learn and we never stop growing and learning. It was really a walk, and it's still a walk. I still think, how can I move forward and bring this ancient, beautiful wisdom that I was given from a wonderful Black woman from West Africa and be a white woman and do it in a way that honors both the ancient and the modern. And I'm never going to be able to do it like she does it. She wouldn't want me to. I'm constantly learning and constantly growing and constantly asking the questions, how can I serve? How can I serve? How can I serve till I die? I remember her saying, I'm going to do whatever I can to make a difference in the world until the day I die. And you know what? I'm going to do the same.
So beautiful. Again, the book is Walking with Sobonfu, Sobonfu. Beautiful book. Please pick it up wherever you normally buy books. Susan, it's been an honor, and I'm going to take us out with a sip of water.
Me too.
Breathe in some peace. Thank you again.
Thank you, Michelle. I always love seeing you. I always appreciate you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Grace Point Publishing Authors Podcast. We can't wait to talk more next time as we introduce you to another one of our amazing authors. Make sure you hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss a single episode of the Grace Point Publishing Authors Podcast. To find out more about our authors and to see how we can help you publish your book, head to gracepointpublishing.com. Keep writing. Keep creating. Your words matter.